Michael Spivak's book, A Comprehensive Introduction to Differential Geometry. Really means topology, I suspect, but it says, oh, a classical theorem of topology states that blah, 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 to which of these standard surfaces are the following homeomorphic? A hole in a hole in a hole. If I solve this, what is it? Well, I head over to the glass shop and I said, I can make that. So I made a hole in a hole in a hole. There's a hole that goes through a hole that's in a hole. In the book, it's in paper. Here, it's glass. How do I simplify this to something that answers Spivak's question? So let me take that inner hole and stretch it a little bit. Now, one of these holes is untouched, but what used to be a ring around this is now stretched out. It's almost an ellipse. Well, that's okay in topology because I can stretch things. Haven't changed much. Let's go a little bit further. I'm going to keep pulling that this way until this piece of glass that I'm just touching right now, the end of my finger, is coming all the way up. I'm going to stretch this, about 2 or 3 centimeters further this way until it starts to pop out the other end. So now what had been a ring has stretched out and I'm now touching that place. Let's keep going. Now this part of the hole and this part of the hole, I'm going to move these. I'm going to push the glass until it's almost wishbone shaped. This will pull this way. I'll pull this one over here. This is the original beast. However, instead of this coming around like this, that piece of glass now is continuous across.
You haven't broken any rules here.
We've broken no topological rules. In fact, we've just assumed that this is strictly flexible glass. And at 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, it is flexible glass. Now that we have this, I'm going to pull this around here and this over to there. We're going to straighten it out. So the wishbone here has become a T-bone. A T-bone. And this is straight through. It's still the same beast that we started with, but we've just moved the holes around. We've moved things around. Is it still a hole in a hole in a hole? Well, it's still the original thing that's been topologically reshaped. The rules are we can't cross things, we can't tear anything, but we can move these around. And that's what we've been doing. Instead of going straight across, let's go boink, boink. Let's make this into something that's a little bit more curvy. From here over to here. Notice we still have this hole is the same as this hole. Is that okay if I'm pointing with my nose? So these are still topologically the same. The intersection of the T is now the intersection of two curves. And you can see what we're going to do next. The next step I'm going to do is to pull this tube over here and pull this tube over here. Remember, here's one of those holes. Now we've separated those holes so that it's now 3 tubes. One tube here, this tube, this tube. Let's go back to what was the source of that. And you can see we've simply pulled those tubes along. Nothing was torn, haven't added, haven't subtracted from it.
It does seem a bit like it's torn, but no.
Has it been torn? All I'm doing is pulling this hole along to here and this hole further along here. So I'm just pulling that outward, and in so doing, forcing this tube to the side, this tube to the side. I now have a tube, and a hole. Given this, let's straighten this tube. So I've got this tube, I'm going to bring this hole around here, this hole around here, pull them really straight, like this. So now those 2 curved tubes are 2 straight tubes, and I have another straight tube here. Okay, now it's a piece of cake. All I have to do is pull these two to be parallel to this one, or alternatively, rotate this tube to be parallel with these two. So let's try it. Here's all three of those tubes parallel. So all three holes are now parallel. And now this is getting close to a solution. I'll take this in one hand, this in another. I'm going to squash it. I'm going to push it down this way. So instead of a sphere, I'm going to compress it down till it's more like a pancake. I'll get something that's pancake shaped, but the three holes are still there. There's also a tiny little hole there. When you make hand-blown glass, it's necessary to have a little hole to let out hot air. Ignore that guy. These are the main three. And, oh, doesn't take much to say this is a three-hole torus. This is a torus with 1, 2, 3 holes in it, which is a nice way of answering Spivak's question. How would I manipulate this into a solution? A three-hole torus will make any topologist in the universe happy. But let's go back and try something else. Let's go back one step. Remember I had this guy and I said, we're going to squash this down to here. Instead, let's pull this tube over towards the side. So right now it's near the middle. Let's pull it over towards the side. In fact, let's pull it almost to the edge, and we'd find that it would be possible to go through it. If we kept pulling it, we could pop it out. From here, we can make a sphere with 3 handles. I'm jumping over several steps, but think of this right here as a handle. I could put a chain right through here, pick it up, or I'd put a string through here, pull this outward. This is the same as this. Notice that hole there is the same as this hole, a second hole, and a third hole. Here's a 3-handled sphere. A sphere with 1, 2, 3 handles. This 3-handled sphere is homeomorphic to this 3-holed sphere, and that's homeomorphic to this 3-hole torus. If I have this 3-handled sphere, I can go to my glass shop, heat it up, put my hand right there, push down right here, and push down really hard, and from here I can transform this into a 3-handled coffee mug. This is a 3-handled mug, a 3-handled drinking glass that's homeomorphic to and has the same properties as this 3-holed torus, a 3-holed donut. And that is the solution to the question, what does this map onto?
Thanks to audible.com for supporting this video. If you haven't discovered audiobooks yet as a great way to catch up on excellent writing, well, you've been missing out. After numerous recommendations from friends, I've finally been listening to Ready Player One. I actually became a bit obsessed with it on a recent holiday. Every spare few minutes I had, I was listening to a bit more of the book. I don't want to give anything away about it because I really enjoyed going into it cold, knowing nothing. I want you to have the same if that's possible, but I do recommend it highly. But whatever kind of writing you're into, you can rest assured Audible's going to have something you'll like. And when you do sign up, you get your first month and your first book for free. Do that at audible.com/numberphile so they know you came from this channel. And if you do download a book that say you don't like, Audible will let you exchange it for another. I've actually done an exchange myself and it was really easy. But I don't think you'll want to exchange Ready Player One. It's a really good recommendation for your first audiobook. Really well read by Will Wheaton. Give that book a try, give Audible a try, and thanks to them for supporting Numberphile yet again.
The changes that have happened from one to the next have not required moving things through one another.